What's up, everybody? How we doing? It's me, Trav. Nice to see you guys here. Welcome to Talk for Today. As you can see, I have Mike sitting in the waiting room. I just want to do a quick intro. Thank you guys again for being here. This is Talk for Today, my mental health program we do every week with guests. It's very much about the conversation I'm having with the guests, so it is a little bit difficult to interact with the chat, and I apologize. Hey, what's up, Bob? Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming by. It is a little bit difficult to interact with you guys. We will do our best. He's a fellow streamer, so I can assure you we are both, did I say ensure? We'll both assure you that we'll be looking at the chat. If you have any questions or comments or anything, hang on to them, throw them in the chat, and we'll get to them. I'm sure we'll take a little break and answer those questions. But I'm going to go ahead and let the boy in. Shadow, what's up? Thanks for coming by. Appreciate the hell out of you guys. I let him in. Here he comes. Oh, there he is. You just can. There he is. He's connected now. What's up, man? Welcome.
Yo. What's up?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Hold up. I gotta get my notes
You
over
look
on
good,
this
too.
stream. Oh, thanks, man. I
You're
shaved my face.
Looks good, man.
It feels weird. You know, hockey's over now. The Rangers picked Lafreniere #1 just a few minutes ago.
Oh, they did get him?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't even see that. Did the Red Wings pick it?
I don't know. I literally watched the Rangers pick first and I turned it off.
Okay. Yeah, I just got the update here from Yahoo. Rangers select Alexis Lafreniere. I can't say that name, dude.
He's
Kid's gonna be a G.
He's a Frenchie like me. Lafreniere.
Lafreniere.
So yeah, I'm pretty pumped about that.
It's good, man.
Had some dinner, and here I am with you, man. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Got some people from your crew here.
Hi, everybody.
I like it. You got some loyal followers, children of the
Why
patch.
does it look like I'm staring? Oh, I was looking at my. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I was just talking about the children of the patch, how they're here. What are you looking at?
I was watching your stream and it looked like I was like looking directly down. And I was like, why does it look like I'm looking down and I'm not?
Does it look okay? Is something wrong with the stream?
I was looking at my phone. No, it's just.
Oh, got you. Cool.
We're good.
No, I appreciate it. For those of you guys that are new or you're just coming on, this is Talk for Today. If you were here a moment ago, you already heard this bit, but this is my mental health talk I do every week. Usually with a guest. Sometimes it's just me. Everybody comes on for a variety of reasons, whether it's to talk about their mental illness or maybe they just had, a mental health crisis in their life, or maybe they just want to talk because all we're trying to do here really is reduce the stigma and shame attached to it, have a world where people aren't afraid or ashamed to go to the doctor if they got something going on in their brain. You think of it kind of like a broken arm. You go to the hospital and get a cast on and you take care of it. The bone grows back and it comes back stronger. And that's what we're trying to do with our heads. And Mike and I.
Great analogy, man.
Thanks, man. I didn't come up with that one. That one's recycled all over the place. I don't claim to be the mental health guru. I'm just a dude. I'm not a trained doctor, but I am a guy who has experienced some lows and learned a lot and found a lot of value in conversation and in therapy, and I just want to share it with the world. Mike and I have been friends for a long time. How long?
I'd say about 10 years.
Hung out. It's a long time.
0 times.
Yeah, we've never met.
Times.
We've never met in person, but we've always stayed in touch online.
Yeah, man. It's been great. It's been a great decade for sure. Ever since I found your band. I think I was on Facebook and I had liked a bunch of videos. I went through and liked all your posts. Speaking of Suds Bob's the ones that showed me.
Yeah, no, that's how I know both of you guys.
Then I got a message. I think it was from you. It was like, "Yo, dude, I'm glad you like the music." And I was like, "Holy shit! This guy's messaging me. He's a lead singer of this band." And then, yeah, man, you added me and we found a mutual love for metal music. And ever since, it's just grown into a very, very fun and interesting friendship.
It's been really cool. I don't think I've had this kind of friendship with anyone. and we have so much in common, and it's definitely like the love for video games. We kind of like music, obviously, but we kind of got into this at the same time too.
And Zelda.
Yeah, oh, dude, I fucking love Zelda.
You gotta. It's like I grew up on it, you grew up on it, and it's like I mean there is a little bit of an age difference between us, but it's
How
like
old are
we're
you?
still in the. I'll be 27 in December.
Oh, so you're only
You're my
you're
sister's
almost
age.
4 years old, 4 years younger than me, because I'm in January. I'll be 31.
31. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Yeah, so you're a year older
Oh,
than my older sister.
31 sounds so old.
No, you're not old until your kids are 40, man.
Rage quit. Happy to hear that you're happy. Super Toma, we got some friends in the house. Thanks for coming by, guys. I will say we will try our best, Mike. Maybe we'll, because you and I both are probably gonna be looking at the chat the whole time. We'll take a point in the stream to kind of stop and answer any questions. I was saying before you came on, it's a little bit hard during these because we get on these long, drawn out, explanations of our lives or, epiphanies we've had. So it's hard to kind of, jump in and out of the chat. So if you have something to say, put it there. I promise we'll get to it.
For sure.
Let me pull up my notes here. I don't consider to be a professional here. I have to have notes. So we have this shared passion, I suppose, if you want to call it that, for mental health and recovery and having these conversations. So what is it that? Is that why you wanted to come on here? Or is it kind of like what you'd been through you were able to identify?
Well, personally, I like to talk about it because I feel like it can help somebody.
Yep.
Because that's what helped me, was like listening to other people talk about it and realizing that you're not alone. And like I know that sounds cliche, but it's absolutely true. And hearing other people's stories can actually like help you. And that's why I wanted to come on here, because I feel like maybe if somebody's going through the same stuff I went through and like kind of still do go through, that I'm able to, maybe they hear my story like, okay, well, it's not just me, you know?
Yeah, and not even that, like, and I've said this before on here, like, there's no comparison on how crazy your story might be either. Like, it doesn't mean because somebody went through something that, in your opinion, is crazier, that it's any worse. Like, having these conversations, like, if it's a big deal to you and you're depressed because of it or you need help because of it, that is 100% valid. And that's why we do this. Like, we need people to know that, right?
Yeah, and like, even my story, like, doesn't, compared to like some of the stories that I've heard just from talking to people, it minimized my problems like so much, because I'm like, okay, there's people that go through 10 times worse than what I do, and it really puts things into perspective. So like I feel like that's another reason, like, I mean, it still happens from like time to time where you'll be talking to somebody and you're like, oh, I definitely, like, I understand, and then they'll out of nowhere be like, oh, and then this happened. You're like, oh, I don't understand that because I've never been through it, you know.
But don't let it invalidate how you feel. That's my that's my point. That's
all you
my
can
point.
really say is like, hey, that sucks, and if you want to talk about it, I can definitely lend you an ear.
So do you think we'll get into your story, obviously. Do you think your perception of what you were going through, like you just said, it's not that crazy. Do you think that prevented you from asking for help or talking about it with other people?
I mean, at the time when I was doing what I was doing, and like before, like I got sober and like went through like that, like I call it like post sober, like depression kind of. At the time, I didn't think like what I was doing was all that serious, because like it it was fun, and like I was, just a young kid in my 20s, like just burning off steam. So like kind of, but it look, thinking of it now, like it's definitely not something to be ignored, and I did need help, but ultimately like asking for help is definitely what saved me. So
And that's great, man. And then you ended up here, and we're boys. We're
yeah,
boys.
we are.
So are you comfortable kind of telling your story? Are you
yeah. I mean, yeah, I've told it 100 times, and I'm sure there's people.
Take us through it, good buddy.
Okay.
Get your popcorn ready, everybody.
So, I mean, I was addicted to cocaine for about a year, and when I say I was addicted to it, I mean I was doing it like every single day, and spending money on it every single day. and it just became like a part of my everyday life. And what led to that was like graduating high school and like working in like restaurants, and I could never really hold a job down. I was always
Mm-hmm.
working like from job to job and whatever, and eventually ended up doing this job that required me to move my body all day every day for like 14 hours a day, lifting heavy things. And um, I got hooked up with a guy there, and he was like, "Yo, I can get you like here. Just try a little bit of this. It'll be fine. You'll work will be awesome." And work was awesome.
Heard that one before.
I was having fun, and then like I was like, okay, well, like that's a one-time thing, like whatever. And then the next day, it's like, hey man, like, can I do it again? And he's
Well,
like,
you
yeah,
feel
go
so
ahead.
bad afterwards, right?
Definitely, definitely. It's one of the worst come downs like ever. I feel like, but I haven't really ever tried like harder drugs than cocaine.
Yeah,
I
that's as
guess.
far as I went to.
Yeah, like I can't like speak on like heroin use or
Mm-hmm.
like stuff like that, but I know plenty of people who are, and I mean are in recovery or like still do it, and it's really sad. But as far as like mine, was doing it for a better part of a year. I had a place with two of my friends, and it was very cheap for all three of us to, split rent for the month. I'm talking like
Right.
$125 a month for a
Wow.
bedroom and like
That's
a
nothing.
house. Exactly. So like I had the extra money to afford this habit, and it spiraled out of control. And there were times where like I felt like I didn't care what happened anymore, and that's why I was doing it. So I was like, What's the point? Like nobody really cares because people around me were letting me do it, and nobody
Right.
was stopping me from doing it. But that's because the people that would have stopped it didn't know about it, And I knew that. I was like, I can't let these people know because they'll say something. So like, I got to keep the circle of friends around me that
Mm-hmm.
allow this type of behavior.
You were enabling it. Yeah.
Exactly. So I kind of put myself in like a really bad spot, and so I was doing that for about a year. I lost a bunch of weight. I was down to like 175, like 170, like skinny as a rail. My mom would always make comments like, "Are you eating enough food? You're getting really skinny." I'm like, "Mom, I lift furniture for a living. Like I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
shape, you know." But
Right.
like really, it's because I wasn't eating. I was spending my money on
Well,
drugs,
you get
and
good at like lying to people that are
I
that
know, and that's
like care
the
about you too.
worst. That's the worst part too. It's like the lying, man.
Yeah, and you feel like
Like
shit about it.
I know, and then you look back after even like a month, and you're like, damn, like I I don't even know who I am anymore. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
literally living a lie. Like there's a select few people who know what's actually going on, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't give a shit. And then the people who actually would give a shit just think that, oh, Mike's working every day. He's working 14 hours a day. He's got his
He's
own place with
he's
his
doing
friends.
great.
He's got a
Yeah.
new car.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, he's losing weight, but it's like, yeah, I'm also fucking doing 8 ball of coke a day,
Ooh.
and yeah, it was nuts, man. And the reason it was like that is because my boss is the guy who was giving it to me, so he's taking it out of my paychecks. It's like I was always available to me,
So it was just
and
there. It was just part of it. It was
it's
like how you got paid.
exactly.
That's wild, man. That's a
I
pretty
know.
wild story.
So did that for a year from 2015 to 2016, basically, and then I finally one day my mom had called me while I was at work, and I didn't have any, and the guy was off work, so it was a really rough day. I was tired, like nose is running like crazy. I just need that hit to like get up and get
The
through the
bump.
day. So my mom calls me and she's like, "Yo, like, what's going on? Like, you didn't pay your phone bill." I'm like, yeah, I didn't, because I spent all my money, and I ended up like getting into a screaming match with her, and actually like started calling her some names, and like just like took all of my problems and anger out on her, and like brought her to tears.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I heard my mom cry, I was like, hey, I think I'm addicted to cocaine. I need some help.
So
And
that
then
was the
like
breaking point right there
exactly,
with your
my
mom.
making my mother cry was
Yeah.
like my breaking point. Um, and then she just said okay, and then I was like, okay, what? Like, am I gonna get grounded or something?
Yeah.
And no, she just said, when you get off work, come over. So I went to her house when I got off work, and we talked, and we decided that I would go and get the help that I needed. So I went to like I wouldn't say like a rehab facility. It was like just mandatory meetings for like a week,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And like I was allowed to go home and everything, but like if I missed a meeting, they would have like called one of my parents or like been like, "Yo, Mike didn't come to a meeting, and like you need to go and
So
check on him."
there was some sort of accountability to
Some
it.
sort of supervision,
Yeah.
which sucked because I was 24, 23. I was
It's
like
kind of
23 at the time, getting
like
supervised by my
the
parents.
college life. It was almost like you were
I
living. It
know,
seemed.
but like, and after like a week of doing the meetings, it helped a lot, and that's what I meant earlier about like putting things into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because like my first meeting, the first person to talk was a like a lifetime heroin addict. He was like in his 60s and was still doing it, and the only
Wow.
reason he was there is because he had gotten like, it was like court ordered, and like he straight up was like, I don't want to stop. Like it's a lifetime thing for me, and like yeah, I can go to all these meetings and nothing's gonna change because this is who I am, and I just didn't want to end up like that.
Yeah, that's sad.
Um, so that was kind of like then I was like, okay, I can do this, and my problems I could be 10 times worse. That's where it was. 'Cause I thought I was at rock bottom
Mm-hmm.
until I actually seen rock bottom,
Right.
which was a lifetime heroin addict who literally looked at a group of people who are there to get off drugs and said, I don't want to stop because this
Wow.
is who I am. And like that was really powerful in a way.
That's sobering. No pun intended.
Exactly. So um, after that, being sober for like a month, I met my ex girlfriend now. I met my
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend at the time, and she kept me off drugs for a long time. And I'm really thankful for her, but it didn't work out eventually.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
flip flop situations. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, now here I am about to be 27 years old,
So you've been
sober,
clean
and
for a while then, right?
hell yeah, man. I don't really mess with this stuff anymore. Um,
Good.
it's a shame though, because you do see it everywhere, and you realize how popular it is. I
I
don't know
mean,
how it is in Connecticut,
I
but
went
here
through
in
it too. Yeah, in college, it was like, okay, well, we're doing all this crazy partying from Thursday to Sunday, and we're all having to take exams, and
gotta
me,
stay
like,
up, man. You gotta grind.
it wasn't even just that. It was I was working too because I had to pay for college. I'm not one of those people that had to like had the money from the parents for it or anything like that. So it was kind of there was like some Adderall and stuff mixed in there, but
Yeah.
you got to stay awake, right? And
Oh yeah.
it's interesting looking back at it now. Um, I wonder how much like using drugs in that way. I don't know if it was like this for you because this bled into like career after college too. When I was in a miserable job, and it was almost like I was doing it to ignore like what was real in life. Like I'm miserable, but I'd instead of like changing it, I'm just gonna like do this and get by. Like we feel like we have to do these things, right? Be
Yeah.
in these situations. Like maybe for you, and I'm not gonna speak for you. Maybe like you did you not like that job, or you were just too tired and
When I
that
was
was your
moving
way.
furniture, yeah, that job sucked, man. I was working like I'm telling like 12 hours a day every day, Saturday, Monday through Sunday. Like it was nuts, dude. And it really, that's I think what had got me into it was that drug actually helped me
Yeah,
in
well,
a way.
yeah, exactly. It's I mean, because we are just dumb animals, really. It's like a reward system. You see, like, oh, I'm able to stay awake. I'm able to get through this shift. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
and I
matter
could
how
work
bad I feel. I can do
I,
it now.
I could work a 12-hour shift and then go hang out with my friends for another whatever and still
Mm-hmm.
not be tired and stay up till 6 in the morning, get an hour of sleep, and I know that I could be to work at 8 o'clock because guess what's at work waiting for me?
Mm-hmm.
That pick me up, so I don't need to worry about being tired.
Yeah, no, that's it's. And it was the same thing for me. I
Yeah,
had it.
it
I had it
was.
after. I had a friend on my way home from work who I'd get it from, and it was
Yeah,
like Friday when I get out, pick it up, then we party all night, get some in the morning, back at it. If I had
yeah,
to
it
work at the
was.
weekend, well, guess what?
It's
I was waking up in the morning.
yeah, it sucks, dude. It's definitely a wild drug.
Yeah.
But and not in like a good way. I
Well, Rick
mean, there
James
was
made it funny, but it's, but Rick James made it funny, but it's, but cocaine's a hell of a drug, but like
he was not lying.
it can ruin your life for sure.
Exactly, and that's what I mean by that. Like, it is a hell of a drug because before you know it, your life is consumed by it, and you're full on addicted.
Because the come down is just so bad that like I hear the same thing about heroin. Like the only thing that's gonna fix it.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like alcoholics will tell you the same thing. Like when they're sobering up, they hair of the dog. That's why that exists.
Yeah.
That's how they get better.
Alcohol was never really my thing too, and I think that's what kind of played a big part in that.
Like, you don't drink?
I drink, but like I never I don't drink. When I drink, as soon as I start to get buzzed, I kind of level it out and I'll slow down. But like I don't drink to get fucked up or like black out.
Yeah.
Like some people do.
It's interesting how we've talked about coke, heroin, and alcohol. It's interesting how like drugs are like just such a normal part of our society now.
Yeah.
Like you go to a party and everyone's drinking, so you get a drink too, so you can have fun with everybody. And I mean, I do it. I'm not knocking it. If you're fine and you're healthy and you can do it without any problems, like all the power to you. But I just think it's interesting how
it is. It's definitely because when you're growing up and as a kid, like everybody tells you, oh, drugs are bad, and like if you see drugs, call the cop. Or like you go through like those little school system, like I went through Dare.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and then when you get to like high school, you realize that your Dare officer was all like messed up on. He was an undercover cop, and like somebody seen him at a bowling alley, all messed up.
Is that what happened to you?
Yeah.
I live in I live in the suburbs, so we had like actual. They weren't even undercover cops like came in.
Yeah, ours was an actual cop, and one of the students, like by the time I was in middle school, was like, "I seen our Dare officer over the weekend. He was drunk." And it's like, wow, our Dare officer was drinking. Okay, my parents drink. Okay, so like, someone offers you a drink, you're like, why not? Everybody does it, and I think I think alcohol is like a huge gateway drug, and it's
big time.
Everyone goes to like, oh, marijuana is the gateway drug, like
that's
the gateway drug, but I mean, marijuana has a lot more benefits than alcohol, so I feel like it's hard to say that's a gateway drug because literally anybody who does drugs, I'm guaranteed, has drank before.
Well, I think that was just like I think our generation has kind of moved the marijuana cannabis conversation, ahead of that. That was really just the Reagan propaganda in the 80s. But I mean, honestly, when it comes to Dare, the T-shirts should say instead of drugs are bad or whatever, it's like drugs are bad when they're bad.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a firm believer that like use here and there, and I'm not saying to do it, can be okay, but you got to be careful which one, because you can get hooked very quickly, and then it's bad. Some drugs get bad quicker than others, right?
And it happens very fast too, and before you know it, it's completely out of control.
Well, I'm glad you got it together, man. That's great.
It has not been easy, especially when after I had left the moving company, I went to a banking job.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know anything about banking, but those guys are absolutely nuts. They're machines, and what runs those machines is drugs.
Right, right.
So
Jeez.
That was interesting after I had and I was going on like 8 or 9 months sober at the time. And then I got this job, and then I was like, sweet, I'm going to get like a career, and like it's going to be an awesome job. And then you realize like, no, everybody here is like constantly fucked up. So like you're looking at the person next to you, and they're like rubbing their nose all day and jawing hard, and then the person across to you went in at lunch and had like 6 beers, and now they're back at their desk completely hammered.
Yeah.
Like it's like, dude, everywhere, you can't get away from it, and it's like
it's everywhere.
That was one of the hardest parts about like getting sober, was that it literally you just have to look for it, and it's right there.
It's everywhere. I was just going to ask you, what were the hardest parts for you with getting sober? Obviously, if it's everywhere. So that comes to who you're around, right?
Exactly. And that's the worst part, because like I had, I still talk to those people that I was doing it with at the time, and like a lot of them are still good friends, and I consider them good friends, but they just made mistakes too.
Mm-hmm.
And like, just because some of them, there aren't my friends anymore. I'd be like, just so you guys know, like that part of me is like done. I'll still hang out with you, but I'm not gonna party with you till 7 in the morning and
Right.
like stuff like that. And but they're like, well, just because you're gonna do, not gonna, or just because you're not gonna do it, doesn't mean I'm gonna stop. Like, and I'm like, okay, dude, that's your decision, but like respect me enough to know like if I'm like in the living room, don't do it in the living room.
Right.
You know. So
Right.
that was hard, and then hanging out, and then like hanging out with people, or and then somebody like would come over and be like, hey, it's right here, like you guys want to do a line. It's like, no, man, like I'm in recovery.
Peer pressure. They warn you
And
about it. And
that's
dare.
the number one takeaway I got from my 20s, I think, is that cocaine is just as popular as alcohol and marijuana these days. And I don't know if it's like because I was living in Detroit, and like it's Detroit, so like it was always there. But like even not in Detroit, like downriver in the suburbs, it's still everywhere, and it's insane. And like I never knew that until I started doing it, and it's like I don't understand how that happened, or if it was just like I was part of that statistic that just brought it to my area, you know.
I mean, I don't know. I can't really speak for Detroit, but like Helgert is saying in the chat right now, it's not just a Detroit thing. I mean, I live in between New York and Boston, so we see a lot of it.
Yeah, you guys
here.
probably have a lot of drug traffic in your area.
Yeah.
And the reason Detroit is because it literally shares a border with Canada. And like that I feel like has a huge part in like why it's so popular here too, because we're right at the border of another country.
So what did you like? So what did you like? Obviously, your story kind of ended with, I got sober, and here I am 7 years later, or whatever it was.
Huge gaps in between.
Yeah, no, and it's okay because we're just talking, and this is great for me because you and I haven't even had this conversation. This is I waited for this. This is all for me, Mike. This is all for me.
And I've watched like your previous like talk for today's too, and like I kind of know like your story, and like that's how like what you said, like we've had a lot in common.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we do. And
we do.
The shared addiction is one of them.
Well, that's definitely something I think a lot of people deal with, and people, it goes back to stigma. Like, it's like someone in the family or someone in the friend group has this problem, but like we're really not going to talk about it. Like we're ashamed of it, or it's me and I don't want my parents to know or anything. And again, that's why we do this. This conversation, it doesn't have to be sad. It doesn't have to be negative. It's fun. Just we're just talking about it because it needs to be normal, right? So I know for me that like a big part of. For me, it was like I was doing this, and it was kind of like you said, the post addiction, and like it was like a perfect storm of things, like a breakup, a death in the family, and like the getting sober phase. And I know, like a huge thing for me was hanging out with different people, and that's hard. Like, how do you? Some of these people are people that you've hung out with your whole life.
Making friends as an adult sucks. Like when you're a kid, you could just walk up to that person and be like, hey, do you want to be friends? And they're like, sure. And then you end up hanging out with that kid after school that day, and you're friends. As an adult, you can't walk up to another adult and be like, hey, do you want to be my friend?
Right.
Like, so it's the hanging out with people was weird because, like I said, when I was getting sober, those were that group of people that I hung out with every single day were like my everyday friends.
Right.
And like I have other friends. There's a spider on my wall. Sorry, killed it. I do have like other friends, but like they had moved away. I have a friend who lives in Tennessee. Brock only lives like an hour and a half away, but it's always been like that. And at the time, I couldn't drive or anything because a license issue.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard, and I would try to leave like my hometown a little bit if I could. I'd be like, find somebody like a different city to go hang out with, so I didn't have to see that group of people because I knew what they'd be doing, And when I got that other job, I did eventually break away from that group, and I met some really great people.
So did you just like cut it off? You were just I'm out of town. I'm not I'm not doing this,
No,
or
it helps that, like you said, a perfect storm of like timing or whatever.
mm-hmm,
When once I had gotten that job and I moved to Detroit with my girlfriend, she
mm-hmm,
was a student at Wayne State. We got a place like on Wayne State's campus or whatever. I moved in with her. Right around that same time, that whole group of friends, they all moved away. I had a buddy in that group that moved to India. Another one that moved to like Oregon to
mm-hmm.
go fight fires. Um, and then like a couple other ones are in like Arizona and Colorado now. So like it was really weird that like as soon as I was like getting sober and they were like, yeah, like we're gonna do it too. Like that's how everybody decided that they were gonna handle their sobriety. It was
You
just
got lucky,
completely,
bro.
yeah, they just
Well,
completely broke away from the area. And I feel like, and I've known people too that have like gone to rehab in like California or like Florida, which are
mm-hmm,
huge areas for people to go and get help.
mm-hmm,
That they're sober and they're sort of going on a year. They've been in Florida or California for a year, and then they want to come home, and they come home and they relapse.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like it has a lot to do with where you were when you started that addiction, and like I feel like if you come back to that place, um, you get it feels like familiar, you know. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know, it's weird, but like they
No,
call it.
it's not weird.
There's
It's not
there's
weird.
a term for it. In Florida because kids go in and out of these rehab centers all the time, and they're sober, and then they go home, and then they relapse, and they come right back to these centers,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually these centers are like, okay, well if you go home, you're gonna get you're gonna die because you're gonna relapse. So what they do is they move these people from rehabs to rehabs, and inside these rehabs are drugs, like and like it's nuts, dude. There was an announcer, one of the announcers for the Detroit Red Wings. His son was in that loop in a bunch of rehab centers in Florida because he was addicted to heroin, and
Jeez,
his dad. I can't remember. I don't know who his. I
it's
can't
all
think of
right.
his name right now. It's not Mickey Redman. It's the other
Not everyone's a hockey
guy.
fan here anyway, so.
Yeah, but anyways, his son was down in Florida for about a year, and he was talking to him like every day. He's like, "Yeah, I'm sober. I'm doing fine. Like, I'm in a rehab center, you know, and I'm doing great." But like, really, you're not, because like there's dorm rooms, and like these kids are all slinging drugs and doing drugs together in these dorm rooms, and then the rehab center finds out, and they just move you to a different one and collect the insurance money. And
Yeah, that's a huge
his
problem.
yes, his kid was in that system for like 2 years and eventually died in his bed in a rehab center from a drug overdose. And it really, he speaks out about it all the time now, and like talks about it. I forgot what it's called. It's like the Florida Shuffle or something like that. They call it.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it. I hope that something like this doesn't discourage anyone. Like if you're listening and
No, I'm
you know
not
someone.
saying that at
No,
all.
I mean, my point I was just gonna say is, you know, I think it boils down to a self worth thing too, and support systems, and like obviously if you're looking for support or you're going somewhere and it doesn't feel like you're getting better, it doesn't mean that like the road is ending there. Like I know a ton of people that, you know, they go to therapy the first time, they don't like their therapist and they move on, or they go to rehab, it doesn't seem helpful for them, and they move on. It was like that for you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've tried multiple therapists, man, and I have not been able to find a fit. And I don't know if it's because I suck at therapy
No. No.
or what, but every therapist I get is like an older like woman, and I always feel judged. I don't know what it is.
Okay,
So
so
I've never
let's,
tried a male therapist though.
yeah, you could try that. I mean, okay, so
This
what,
is my therapy, man. Just sitting here
let's,
talking like every Tuesday.
it is for me too. So let's talk about that. So you got sober, you moved in with your girlfriend, and you're going to therapy now, or you
No,
were, or you were
no.
going through the. Talk about that
She
part.
okay. My ex was huge on therapy. Okay, she had BPD, like
Mm-hmm.
no, not she had BPD and borderline personality disorders, or no, whatever. It's the same thing. Sorry. And she was huge on therapy. She'd be like, "Oh, you need to get into it, get into it." So she kind of forced me into it. So when I decided to finally do it, because I was depressed and I was constantly anxious because I was working a job where your numbers matter,
Been
and
there, dude.
you have to hit goals every single day, and I was not hitting those goals every single day. Where I would blow that goal out of the water one day, and then the next day I would be way below that goal. So it's just very inconsistent, and
Yeah.
I would come home and depressed. I would come home and cry. I wouldn't eat dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "You need to go to therapy," and she really forced me into it. So I went into it going into therapy with like kind of a bad attitude, like I don't want to be here. The only
Right.
reason I'm doing this is so my girlfriend doesn't break up with me.
Not a good reason.
Exactly, and it was the first time was very awkward, but then like after like the second or like I'd say even like third or fourth time, like that was when I started to finally open up. But then I felt like my therapist was kind of just looking at me and like, just shaking her head, and like she wasn't really giving me anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like I was. It was more of a thing where I would just go and talk, and like didn't really get anything out of it. I feel like.
So yeah, so the blowing off steam wasn't a huge thing for you.
No, I would get in there. She'd be like, "So how was your week?" I'd be like, "Oh, you want to hear about my week?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
listen to my day. Like, I woke up this morning and like I did not want to go to work, like
Yeah.
at all. And like I still have those days. You wake up, you just don't want to get out of bed.
Dude, I used to joke that I was gonna bring a helmet for my therapist when I went in because I had been having such a bad time. But it's interesting because, and I think the point here is like I'm a huge advocate of therapy, obviously for the right reasons, but we're all different. It's all unique to everyone. Mike's here saying he's never found anyone.
I
I found my therapist on the first try.
Yeah, you got very lucky.
Knocked it out of the park, and I'm not naive to that. I understand I'm lucky, and in fact I'm grateful for it. But my point here also is that therapy can be a lot of different things, right? It doesn't have to be sitting down and talking to a doctor. Would I recommend it if you're in crisis? Absolutely, I think you would too. But I mean, a huge thing for me, aside from it, music.
Music's
Let's
huge,
talk about
man.
music, man.
Music is
Talk about because
huge.
this is how you and I became
I'm
friends.
very glad you brought this up because I was listening to a song the other day and a lyric definitely resonated with me that I wanted to kind of talk about.
Yeah, absolutely, and put
So
it in the chat too, so people can.
So there is a song by A Day to Remember called "Sometimes You're the Hammer, Sometimes You're the Nail."
I'm
Okay.
putting in the chat. Sometimes you're a hammer, sometimes you're a nail.
There is a line that I heard the other day that really stuck with me, and it's just one line, but it gave me kind of like inspiration, and it reminded me that like things will be okay.
Yeah,
And the line is, "I that came from nothing leave hope in my wake,"
I love it.
and I don't know why, but I just feel that because I come from a family of like we weren't very high class. We're
Hmm.
barely middle class. My mom was divorced. She was raising two kids on her own. My dad had left us. He had to go do like whatever his own thing, which I'm very thankful for because it made me realize like what a blessing my mom is, and like I know a lot of people like go through that stage in life where they hate their parents, but I've never once like hated my mom. She's always been a saint, and me and my dad have thankfully reconnected, and like we've
That's
gotten
great.
over that.
That's
And
great, man.
yeah, so I'm past that in my life, which is great. And but like just the "I that came from nothing" part, like reminds me that like you can come from nothing and still become something. And like
Yeah,
like Jeremy's saying, like he comes from nothing and he leaves hope in his wake. That's because like he Jeremy has like Jeremy McKinnon's the lead singer and like mostly the songwriter of A Day to Remember, and he speaks out on mental health a lot. They actually had a tour called Self Help
I remember
where
that. Under Oath was on it.
yes, they did a self help tour, and like it was just a full on like let's talk about mental health,
Hmm.
depression, like anxiety, all of that stuff. Put it on a tour and like have a bunch of different vendors come, and like these vendors aren't like like, oh, we're gonna sell you T-shirts, we're gonna sell you like merch. It's, here's a doctor, here's some sources, like you self harm, here's a self harm book.
Hmm.
You're depressed, here's a depression book, and like A Day to Remember put that on. So like I feel like he's talking about that, like he came from a little city in Florida that nobody ever heard of, just playing guitar and singing the song, and then now like he literally like people see him, and it gives them hope, and like that's how I feel. It's like he comes from nothing and leaves hope in his wake, and like it. I literally like heard that and I read it and I was like, oh my god, like I never noticed it and I loved that
Yeah.
song. So
You get the chills. Do you get the chills
it,
too with
I get
music?
the
I
chills
I get
listening
it
to
so
music
bad.
all the time, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's like the frequency or whatever, but it's just
It's like an
music is
ASMR tingle. It's
yes,
what it feels like for me.
music is huge, and I can listen. I could be in the worst mood, and this is weird because it's angry music. I could be in the worst mood possible, but
Me
the
too.
second I hear the intro song of Slipknot's self-titled album, SIC Sick, as soon as I hear the intro to that song, I get a smile on my face, and all of my hopes and like worries or all my worries are like gone,
It's
and
amazing
it's just
how yeah.
straight excitement and like happiness for however long, and then you just kind of like realize, okay, like everything's gonna be okay. I can smile and I'm having a shitty day. And
That's why I've always loved, metal music in general. Oh, quick. I want to read something in the chat. Grandma's cat said it's called Frisian.
version, I
I'm
always
not
called it sick because at the end Corey Taylor literally goes sick like into the
That's
mic
funny.
super hard. But yeah, Slipknot's been a huge part of my life, and
I was my
they're
one of
one
my
of the
favorite albums ever.
angriest. They're one of the angriest sounding bands you'll ever hear, but man, do they fucking give me hope and motivation.
Oh, it's the feeling you get when you get chills from music. That's what I thought. I was following Mike's lead here. Yeah, I
Okay.
get chills all the time, particularly from metal music. And I learned early in life. I'm fortunate to have parents who they were together when I was younger, and like my formative years, 10, 11, 12, they brought me to like every rock show. They're like 20 years older than me, roughly. They had me pretty young, and so they were bringing me to see like Breaking Benjamin and
Oh,
like
nice.
Godsmack when I was like 10, 11 years
Nice.
old, and I kind of carried it with me growing up as like this is a safe place. And all these people are different. I remember being a kid and going to the shows and seeing all these people covered in
Yes.
tattoos and mohawks. And I remember seeing this one guy by himself in a mosh pit just crying, just like taking it in. And
Yep.
like this is a safe
Dude,
place and we're all the same and we're all experiencing this energy together, and it's so amazing. I miss concerts, dude.
concerts are healing, man. I'm really glad you brought that up
Hmm.
because, like, and it's weird, like how healing they are, but it's also weird how you can get that kind of like, oh, it's over, like sadness afterwards. I found that Slipknot and August Burns Red, personally, after I leave their concerts, I have this huge like I don't know. You feel like you could take on the world, man.
Hmm.
And like the last time I seen Slipknot, it was pouring down rain, and like they had just finished up their set, and it was right after Prince died. And when I got to the parking lot, the whole crowd was in there, and someone was blasting Purple Rain on their like stereo, and we all just stopped and sang Purple Rain together in the parking lot in the rain after a fucking Slipknot show.
Wow.
Which is nuts because like it's inside the concert you're like headbanging and people are fucking punching each other and stuff, and then we're in the parking lot singing Purple Rain together, and like that moment I'm always gonna remember for the rest of my life, and I just it would never be possible without music,
Yeah,
literally.
it
Like
brings people together, man.
it
You
all
reminded me
types of
of
people, man.
oh yeah, you reminded me. Have you seen the movie Almost Famous?
I've never seen that movie.
Great movie if you haven't seen
I
it.
I I
Watch
know
it.
the DVD cover. It's somebody with sunglasses that
Yeah.
look like John
Yeah,
Lennon's.
there's a scene in the movie. One of the guitar players, he goes off after a show and he's all frustrated with how tour life is like it's not the real world, and he's feeling depressed, and they go to this party to hang out with just like regular people, and he ends up taking like a couple tabs of LSD and like losing his mind. And the night goes by, all this crazy shit happens, and they gotta like pull him out of the house, and there's like an altercation between him and the main character, and like everyone's kind of at odds with each other. Like tour's gonna end soon, everyone's gonna go their separate ways, and there's this scene. They're all in the bus riding after that, and Tiny Dancer by Elton John comes on.
Oh my God, what a song!
And they all gradually start singing together. And it was like in that moment, and like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. The filmmakers knew, like, this is the moment where we show everyone what music can do for a broken family. Essentially, it was what was happening in the story.
Band is a family, man.
And it was I can't recommend it anymore, dude. You would love that movie, or anyone in here that hasn't seen it.
I will definitely check it out. That sounds awesome.
It's so good. So good. But yeah, music is great. There's a song for everybody.
Definitely.
It can heal you no matter what you're going through. Mitch Lucker said it, the vocalist of Suicide Silence that passed away young. He said, music will help you through anything. I promise, and I've leaned on that my entire life.
Mitch Lucker was an incredible artist.
You like Suicide Silence?
I do, but only because my old roommate, Corey, he actually, yesterday was his 5-year anniversary of his death. He passed away from kidney failure.
Uh-huh.
Mitch Lucker was like his favorite artist. So when I lived with him, I'd wake up to hearing that, like, Suicide Silence every single day. You only live once, like that song, like that was his song, because like he was in a very bad spot with his kidney failure and was waiting for a long time for a kidney transplant. And like he's just like, hey man, you only live once, so just go fucking nuts. And I'd be like, all right, dude, let's do it. And like, just, he loved that band, and like it always stuck with me. And he's actually the one that got me into Whitechapel, which is another huge band.
Have you seen Phil Bozeman doing vocals for Unanswered?
Yes.
It's one of the most incredible vocal performances of the genre I've ever seen.
When Mitch died and they did that benefit show, there's actually Randy Blythe from Lamb of God does I can't remember what song.
There was a bunch of them, like Austin Carlisle was in there. They did a bunch of them.
That show was nuts. A lot of people loved Mitch, and it just shows, like, that's another thing, dude. It shows, because at that benefit show, there was, I think, like over 25 bands that contributed just to one person's death. Think of how many people are involved in 25 bands. Like, and I'm talking full-on touring bands. You're talking roadies, like crewmates, managers, all that stuff. That's
the record labels too, I'm sure.
Mitch in that genre of music was definitely, like, I don't want to say worshipped, but like he was very well respected.
He was worshipped for sure.
Shook the metal industry to like its core. It was so.
Well, dude, it goes to show too, like when your friend who passed away, he listened to Suicide Silence all the time. You know, imagine what that was like for him. You know, listening to them like in his like most honest moments. You know, leaning on that. Oh, everybody, it's Link.
Sorry, he's been bothering me for a minute.
Everybody, this is Mike's cat, Link. Tell us about Link.
Link is 5 months old. He'll be 6 months old on the 20th, and he's gonna get fixed in 2 weeks.
Oh, he's not gonna be happy.
No, he's gonna say goodbye to his nuts, but he doesn't know that.
He's a little guy.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be Dee Dee, but like you said, he thought they looked a lot alike when he was a kid.
No, my cat is fucking 20 pounds, so.
Yeah, he's still only is 5 months, so he's got a lot.
Oh yeah, that's true. He is a kitten. Time moves slower during COVID. It feels like.
I got him when he was 6 weeks, dude. I was bottle feeding him, and he treats me like an ass.
So
ow, as he bites me.
We talked about music. We talked about kind of your path to recovery. What else? How important were the people in your life? I mean, you said everyone kind of went their separate ways, but like moving forward, obviously you have it in your head, like, hey, I need to surround myself. Or was that a conscious thought you had? Like, I need to surround myself with people that aren't doing this shit.
Definitely, because your surroundings, I feel like, play a huge part in your actions and like your attitude about life. And when I moved out of my hometown and I moved into Detroit, that was when I was just literally just me and my girlfriend. I didn't know anybody in the city. I just started this new job, so like it was just me and her, and like we got really close over that. And then when I got to that job and I actually started like making new friends and everything, I'm like, wow, these people are really cool. They only live 15 minutes away. They live because they were like north of Detroit, whereas like I live like 20, 25 minutes south, which isn't too far, but just like the new people that I had met. One of them being my best friend Griffin. He's from Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just the funniest character like you'd ever meet in your life. And the dude can just like put a smile on your face like no matter what. Just a great person. So like I'm very thankful that I met him during that time,
Mm-hmm.
and like he was the first person at that like job, which I call it's like a different chapter of my life, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, because it was after like my sobriety and like I was kind of going through like that post sobriety depression. We were like, okay, I'm sober now. What?
Now
You
what?
know
Yeah, right, right,
exactly.
right.
So now what was get out of that job. Don't work for that guy anymore because he's the one that's feeding you these drugs. So I was unemployed for like a good month, and then this opportunity came along to work for this banking company, and I got it, and that's when I started like I was like, okay, like things are gonna get better. Kind of making decent money, and I don't live in that. I don't live down like river anymore. I sorry, I keep calling it down river,
Down
but
by the river.
it's suburban Detroit, Metro
Mm-hmm.
Detroit. I wasn't living in there anymore, so like meeting new people was definitely huge. And these are people that like they were older, and like as you got to talk to them, like you realize like they're people go through the same shit. People go through the
Yeah.
same shit as you, man. And like you can't even notice it. Like my buddy Steve, like the first time I talked to him, and he's like, we were drinking, we were at the bar, and he's like, so, what did you do before you came here? I was like, oh, what did I do? I moved furniture for 4 years and blah blah. Blah. He's like, oh, why'd you quit doing that? I was drunk and I was just talking to him. I was like, oh, I was kind of addicted to cocaine, and like it was part of the reason was because of my job, and like I got sober recently and I want to get out of that. And he's like, dude, no way, I just got sober 6 months ago.
I love it.
And
I
I was
love it.
like, no, I was like, me too. Like, so yeah, like he played a huge part in that, and like just I realized people are a lot more open to the conversation than you think.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be scary.
Exactly,
It's not going to go how
because
your anxiety
and
is telling you.
I'm
If
not
that
telling you
applies to you.
like I'm not telling you walk up to a stranger and be like, "Hey, I'm
Right,
depressed."
right,
Like,
right, right.
um, but definitely don't be afraid to talk about it when there's trust and like if you feel like you can talk to that person, you can get a pretty good feel. I feel like personally, I get a good feel for people. But like if I'm talking to you, I feel like I can tell you stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or like there's certain people where I could be like, okay, I need to watch what I say around this person.
Yeah, most people are pretty cool, man. That's something I've kind of discovered.
I think it's just our generation, man, because we all have gone through some shit. Like we grew up, 9/11 happened. We were kids,
I saw some
and
crazy
like
shit.
exactly, we've seen some stuff. We've all shared experiences, and like I feel like when you, especially when you go through stuff as a kid, man, you can't process that stuff
Mm-hmm.
because you're just a kid, and like it kind, I feel like it messes with you a little bit. So
Well,
like we all
yeah,
kind
and
of grew up with that
we
and not
were kind
realizing,
of
and they were played it
sorry.
on the TV for 24 hours a day, like 7 days a week, just that building exploding over and over and over again. It's like we watched that as we were kids. Like that's crazy to me.
And not even
So
just that, dude. It was like all the other crap that's on TV that makes us feel bad about ourselves. And I talk about this
exactly,
every time I come on here, but like, and then you get 20 minutes at lunch to talk about it with your friends, and we're not really taught really any psychology, how to talk with people about these things or anything, and then we get sent out into the world like we did,
yeah.
and we didn't know how to deal with shit. But that's not a reason to be ashamed. And like, I just got to give you props for having the confidence to change your life, man, because a lot of people get stuck. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's not like I'm not even gonna say like even after my sobriety things have been perfect. Like I was in a very toxic relationship for a long time, and like it didn't start out that way. Like things
Hmm.
were fine. Like we were together for almost 5 years, and towards the end of it, like she and this is a girl who helps me stay sober too. Like
Right,
so, like when you get like that euphoria, you're like, wow, this girl saved my life. Like this is a
right,
girl. This is the
right.
one. And then
There's an
eventually,
expectation that's hard to meet.
and then things change. She graduated college and started working full time, and her depression that she always kind of suffered with since she was a child started getting worse and worse and worse. And she was drinking every day, and like just like a bunch of different stuff. She always wanted to party, and like I'm not gonna like we were doing drugs together.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't 100% sober at the time, but I say sober as in like I'm not doing it every single day,
Yeah, like you're
and
not
it's
in a
not
full blown addiction.
it doesn't control my life. I'm
Right.
not addicted to it,
Right.
but if I was at a party with her and like my friends are all doing it, sure, I'd do a line,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's it. That's it. And I'm way past that now. Where like if I even see it, I'm like, cool, dude, do you? No, thank you.
Right.
Like, but I'm not gonna judge you for doing that. You know, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you need to get help, or I'm gonna call the police on you. But
Yeah, no, you don't need to be like that either.
exactly.
It's
So
all just like, and all this is about just like making sure people are okay. No
yeah.
one's here to tell you what to do.
So when she had started forcing me to go to therapy, and then I eventually told her, I was like, it's not working out, like I don't want to. She's like, well, I don't know if I could date somebody who doesn't go to therapy, somebody who needs it, because like I said, we're in a very toxic relationship. When I say that, I mean like we would get in fights and about something, and then eventually that something just wasn't even a part of the argument anymore. We were
Then
just
you're
saying
just fighting.
things to hurt each other.
Yeah, been there.
And like that's a huge part of like a relationship. When you get in a fight, it's not even supposed to be a fight. It's supposed to be you work on the problem together and you come to an agreement. You solve that problem.
Right.
Our fights turned into just straight hate. Like I'm gonna say things to hurt you because I don't agree with you right now, and like that's what I mean. Like it was just it got very tough, and just we broke up in May, and it was very hard because like I thought of it at first. I was like, damn, I just spent like 5 years of my life with this girl. We had a place together. We had cats together. And like now I have to restart, and like I don't know what I'm going to do.
That's a tough thing to deal with.
And just one day I was like, why? It's not a restart, man. It's a fresh start with experience. Like you know better now. You take what happened in the last 5 years, you learn from it, everything, and you grow. And it happened so quick. Like it, it was weird for sure. Cause I feel like I'm at that point now where like I am happy with myself, and we've only been that was just only 5 months ago, you know. And I, I mean, I feel like I just it's been a very, very weird year.
It has been weird, man. But I mean, like to what you were saying though. And if you want to continue, I'm sorry. I kind of interrupted you. I thought you were...
No, I was just going off on a tangent. I actually kind of forgot what the question was, so I just kept talking.
No, I mean, just going along with your story, like the reoccurring theme, and you've heard me say this, the breakups happen, the toxic relationships happen, you get involved in addiction, a lot of bad shit, but you turn out better at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
With confidence. But, and you've heard me say this before, life, most of the time, aside from tragedy, life happens for you, not to you. And that was when it kind of clicked in my head. I was like, oh, I went through this abusive relationship with, physical abuse, mental abuse, the whole thing.
Yep.
And now I know, and now I'm with someone who's incredible, and I kind of knew how to navigate and how to look for those red flags. And it took a lot of pain. But you can't, I don't want to see anyone take that pain and let it define them, because that's what happened to me, and that's how I got to a point where I questioned my life. And I just want everyone to know, if you're listening to our stories here, that you're better than that, and we'll help you find a way.
And your favorite thing to say, it's okay to not be okay.
It is. It really is, man.
But yeah, it was definitely an experience, and I still feel like I'm still learning from it with my like building new relationships. Like you said, you're with Rochelle now, and you're doing great. Like
Love you, Rochelle. She's watching.
I know she's great.
She
And
doesn't miss one.
I have someone in my life now that that's she's helped me so much, man. Like it's ridiculous. I can literally, like I've said, you got to learn from your experiences. Like I'm not gonna say I was perfect in my relationship. I would hide things from her, and I wouldn't tell the truth all the time, and I was just as toxic as she was, and I'm not afraid to admit that. The whole relationship itself was toxic, but
we all have the potential to be toxic. That's what happened. That's how you know. I mean, for me, like I started to learn that me, like yelling back and doing all, like, if you know me as I'm like, I'm intense, but like
Man,
I'm good. I'm friendly. And like when I saw that part of myself, I'm like, this isn't me. I shouldn't even be here doing this.
it's it's beautiful when you find somebody that you can just say anything to and be 100% honest with and open with, and they accept you for that. And I think everyone deserves that. And I thought that I had that, but now I think I have that now. And I just it's absolutely incredible that, like, I went from this crazy abusive, like, toxic relationship to, okay, I think I can do this with someone else, and it's awesome,
Well,
man.
because
And
the thought of doing something that, like, when things are bad and you're in the previous relationship, the thought of like being away because you like form that codependent relationship, that codependent negative relationship, the thought of moving on and meeting someone else is like dreadful. You
I know
don't think you can ever
I
do
would
it.
always tell my ex, I'd be like, if we
Yeah.
break up, I'm gonna be single forever. Like, I'm never. This is it.
Nope,
Like,
not anymore.
it happened quick, and I feel like it's you can't stop. Like, you can't. Like, I met my new girlfriend the day after me and my ex broke up.
Really?
Yes, and it didn't. We didn't start dating like right away. We
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
like, but yeah, the day after me and my ex broke up, I met her. We started chatting online, and every single day ever since, man, it's been
It's
crazy.
great. Look at this guy smiling here. I love it,
Stop,
man. No,
stop.
it's great. Shout out to the ladies, our ladies watching this.
Exactly. I'm very happy that you have someone too, because I know how hard it is, man.
It can
And,
get
and,
tough.
there are nights, like, especially when you've been with someone for so long, where you're like, the worst part was like sleeping alone, and it sounds
On
weird.
the fucking couch. I lived on the couch the
Well,
last time around.
I didn't have a bed, dude. I was on an air mattress for like 2 weeks, and then I
Uh,
finally got a bed, and it didn't have a frame. It was just this old, shitty, thin mattress I threw on the floor,
uh-huh.
and I was like, damn, like, this sucks. I used to have a king size bed and 5 cats that would sleep with me, and that
Kings
was
are
the worst
nice,
part.
man.
I know,
They're
and
the
then
shit.
but now, like, and then within like a dude, it doesn't even seem like that long. Like, now I got my own fucking bed, man. You can see it right there.
Well, I want to point out, like, Mike and I are obviously happy in our new relationships, but like if you're single, there's like totally nothing wrong with that either.
Yes. I feel like everyone kind of can take time to be single. I did for a long time before me and my ex got together. I was single for like 4.5 years.
There's so much
Dude.
pressure not to be though. That's like my point. Like, you see, I mean, especially when you get to be my age, everyone's getting married and having kids and stuff. You know?
You can't. I feel like you cannot be in a relationship until you love yourself.
Yeah.
Because then when you love yourself, you realize your self worth, and you realize the kind of love that you deserve, and what you can and will accept. And, like,
Right.
I wasn't at that when I first, like, I accepted a lot of bad love.
You accept the love you think you deserve.
Exactly.
That's from
And
Fight Club, I
there
believe.
is such thing as bad love too, and I mean, I accepted a lot of that, and I eventually was like, you know what? I'm no longer accepting this. I deserve better. And it was the hardest part was learning to love myself while I was in an abusive relationship, and realizing, like, just because the person I'm with makes me feel like shit, that doesn't make me shit.
Right. It
You
doesn't.
know? And I want my friends, man. Like, my friends, I don't understand why you're with her. Like, you can do so much better.
Dude, I didn't
Like,
listen to anybody when I was
I
in it.
didn't either,
People were
dude.
like, "Get out of there." I was like,
would-
"Fuck you guys." I started burning bridges with people. I was like, "Oh my god."
We would break up. I'd be single for like 3 or 4 days, dude. My friends would be like, don't go back to her, dude. She don't go back to her. Don't go back to her. I'd be like, oh, dude, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. And then right back home, man, because it was comfortable.
Yep.
Like, and I realized, like, when we broke up, a lot of the reason we stayed together was just because we shared, like, possessions together, and you get comfortable, and that's not a reason to
Yeah, I was there
stay in a
too.
relationship, man. Like, the reason to be in a relationship is because you want to be in a relationship.
Oh, it
with
makes
that
your life
person,
better. It's
and
supposed
you
to
wanna-
enhance it, you know?
Exactly. You're supposed to help each other. It's like having a fucking partner,
Yeah.
not an enemy. And, like, a lot of relationships I see, and it's sad because like I know I've been there, but like
Well, when you've been through it, you see it, and it hurts your soul.
yeah, and I'm like, come on, man, like don't accept that. Like I've been very honest with people since I
Yeah,
broke
I'm the
up with.
same way, dude.
I I need to actually kind of work on it because I said something to somebody the other day, and I was like, damn, that was a little might have been a little too honest.
Well, yeah, you
But
gotta be
sometimes
careful.
people, yeah, sometimes people need to that kick in the ass, you know.
It's I think the things I like to hear, I didn't like to be told what to do. I've always kind of been that way. I still don't like to be told what to do, but I just like to hear that I'm being supported. Just like, hey, I'm here for you no matter
Yes,
no matter what you
that's
choose to be. And if you
that's huge,
yeah,
dude.
so I try to be I try to think of it like what would I like to hear, you know?
When I first started streaming about a year ago, um, I was no support at all. Like, be like, oh, you're doing your streaming, go in the bedroom and do it, and I'd be like, I can't because the lighting's shitty, and like, I
You can have
can't because
bad
the
lighting.
TV's small, and like, exactly, and it's like, okay, well, you only have 2 hours to do it because at this
Man.
time, like, we got to do this, and like, there's just zero support, and like, she just became a joke to her. So then when we broke up, I was like, well, fuck that. I'm gonna dive all the way in this.
Good for you, man.
Built a gaming PC, and like now I dude, it's one of my favorite things to do, and I met so many cool people
Dude,
because
it
of it.
brought us
Like
closer and
Twitch,
yeah, Twitch is
Twitch is
awesome.
nuts, bro. Like I have legit friends on there.
Yep.
Like, and it's brought people like even like that normal guy. Like we went to high school together.
Oh,
Like we hung
really?
out
That's
for
how you
yeah.
guys know each other?
We hung out for a bit after high school, and then like we both got our adult jobs, and like when that happens, you're working 40 to 50 hours a week, and like you don't have
Right.
time to hang out with people. He started streaming during quarantine, and then
Me
like
too.
we talk every single day now. If we're not like helping each other like on our streams or like
Great
um
dude. Great dude.
dude, yeah, he's awesome.
Great dude.
Shout out that normal guy.
Shout out Normal. Is he streaming tonight?
He is playing Paper Mario right
If
now.
he's on when we're done, we're gonna raid his ass. That's what we're gonna do.
But yeah, dude, just like it's crazy, and I'm not even afraid to admit that I met my girlfriend on Twitch. Like that was another crazy story, and like it's just nuts, dude. Like little things that you could do like that, and like I was so ready to give up on it, like being told every single day that it's just a hobby and it's wasting your time. Go get a second job, do
Hmm.
something that's actually meaningful. Like it
Right.
was like okay, you hear that so many times, eventually you're gonna be like, yeah, you're right.
It's
You know,
irritating, man.
I
It's
know.
it's really
And
irritating.
now it's like everybody I talk to and like everybody in my life is just supportive. And that's another thing like I forgot to mention, dude. As soon as like I became like single and I had to move and like I got my own place and I'm like alone, like everybody has been so supportive and so cool, and that's I feel like made the breakup so much like easier than I thought it would be. Not saying that like it wasn't easy or it wasn't hard, but people like offering me stuff. Like I got like, oh, dude, I see you were sleeping on an air mattress. Here's an actual mattress. Oh, I see you have just a mattress on the floor. Here's a bed frame. Like, oh, you got a new bed frame. Here's a brand new bed. Like, just
Right.
people, and it happened so fast. It was like boom, boom, boom. Like for like a month, dude. Like I called it divine timing, and then it all ended with me taking a trip out to Denver to go see a buddy that I haven't seen in like two
Dude.
years.
Cool trip.
Yeah, and then going to Denver and like having that 10 days off work for just a random reason. The owner was like, "We're gonna close down for 10 days. I'm gonna sanitize the building," and like, cause it's during COVID and we were working like a month straight and like it was nonstop. I'm telling you, we were busy, dude.
Right.
Like nuts. So he was like, "I'm closing down for 10 days. You guys go take a vacation." So I hit my buddy up. I was like, "I got 10 days off work. I don't know what to do. Can I drive out to Denver?" And he was like, "Do you want to fly out here?" And then like helps me out with the flight. And then I get to Denver and I'm there and it's awesome. And just randomly looked at each other and we're like, "Dude, let's drive to the Grand Canyon this weekend." And like got in the car on a Friday night at 5:30 at night. I'm in Denver and just drove straight 13 hours to the Grand Canyon through the night, like pitch dark in the desert, and
It's
then
weird out there, huh?
pulled up to the Grand Canyon as the sun was coming up, dude.
Wow.
And like it changed my it changed my life, like
That's a
literally, dude.
cathartic moment for you because who
It
I
was
see is like someone who went through all this shit and then moved things around and started loving themselves. And people misconstrue what loving yourself is. Love is an active term. You do things like the right partner would do for you. You take care of yourself. You do the things to actively love yourself. And you did that. And then all of a sudden you're intentional. And then the universe just starts getting out of your way, man.
Yeah,
that's what I tell people all the time.
Here, let me show you something. This isn't unplugged. There's this book, dude, that I got when I was at the Grand Canyon. It's called The Power of Positive Thinking.
That's a great book. I know that one.
This book, I read at least a chapter of it every single day when I got back from that vacation, dude. And it's ever since, dude, I feel like I can take on the world and things fall in line. And like you said, the universe gets out of your way. The universe literally is just like, hey, man, this is your world.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
I'm living in it. And, like, just shit has worked out so well for me.
It's all about building that intention, man.
That moment of, like, pulling up to the Grand Canyon as the sun was rising, and, like, that was my moment where I was like, okay.
Catharsis.
I can do this, dude. I can be by myself, and I can literally decide one day I'm going to drive to the Grand Canyon and pull up as the sun's rising, and there's buffalo grazing like 20 feet next to me. Like, it was insane, dude. And
it's amazing.
It was life-changing for sure.
And it's amazing how simple it was for you. Like, really, like, if you boil it down,
it gave me something that I always lacked in life, which was like faith and like the power and will to like want to keep going, which is something I've always struggled with, man. Depression sucks, and like those thoughts in the back of your head constantly. And my buddy told me, like, he called it the call of the void, which is like that constant like urge or like voice in the back of your head where like, hey man, like I could just end everything right here and nobody would care.
I know it too well.
I haven't had that since that exact moment that I went to the Grand Canyon and seen the sunrise. I have not ever even thought about taking my own life.
Proud of you,
and
man.
That was something that I had to deal with every single day. I would be in a perfectly fine mood, like perfectly hanging out with friends, be happy, but in like the back of my head, I'd be like, it'd just be there, you know, like it's like a little voice that's just like, hey, you could be better, or it's like, this is the best things you're gonna get, I guess. Like nothing after this is meaningless or meaningful, or I don't know. It's weird, but people do experience it. It is like the call of the void. It's that constant like.
It's heavy.
What would happen, or if I did it? You know, like nobody would care, or like.
Everybody cares. Anyone who's worth anything, there's always someone that will care, and I tell people that all the time. Just remind yourself that if you're in that spot, you know that it's there. It's hard because it takes a little bit. I try not to use the pick yourself up by the bootstraps method too much because we all need help, but I will say, you know, you can do it that way, or if you need help, find some help. And it takes steps. It's one day at a time. Build that momentum, build that intention, and before you know it, you'll be at the Grand Canyon. You know,
metaphorically, it doesn't even need to be the Grand Canyon. It
can be whatever it is.
It's just that moment, you know, where everything just is okay.
For me, it was music.
Are gonna be okay. Music, yeah, I get those moments in music, but like nothing like that experience.
Well, for me, it's like writing. Like when I did the Morning Glory thing, that song I put out was like my moment. Like I'm not doing this anymore. Like I'm in control of what's gonna happen to me. You know.
Yeah.
We got a little story going on here in the chat.
It's the lyrics to Hotel California.
Oh, is it? I wasn't even, it didn't even dawn on me. Great song. My grandmother loves that song too. I always play it for her.
When two of my best friends got married, Rachel's dad, he has 3 daughters, and like he didn't want to do like the traditional like sad daughter like dad dance, and he decided that he was going to just dance to songs that they're when they were children, it was like their favorite song. They would always be like, "Daddy, play this song," you know.
Yeah.
And like Rachel's song was Hotel California, so like they got their first dance as like a bride and like their dad was like to Hotel California, and it was awesome, dude. Like, and then at her other sister's wedding, I think it was like Old Time Rock and Roll by Bob Seger or something like that. It was Turn the
Love,
Page by Bob
I
Seger.
love me some Bob Seger.
Detroit, man. I actually, when I was moving furniture, this is a crazy story. Sorry to go off, but I was
No,
moving
go. Yeah,
furniture,
that's
dude,
why we're here.
and we're taking lunch. We're eating pizza like out in the truck, and then this guy rolls by in a Porsche, and like rolls his window down, and he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, we finally sold the house. We're getting out of here." He's like, "Oh, well, it was good living next to you for the last 20 years or something like that." He's like, "Yeah, good seeing you, Bob." And then the dude rolls down his window, and like I looked at him and made eye contact, and I was like, "I know him. Who is that?" And as soon as he said, "Nice seeing you, Bob," I was like, "That was fucking Bob Seger."
Wow.
That rolled down his window and was like, "Hey, are you moving?" And I was like 5 feet away from him as he rolled by
Wow.
in his Porsche, and he was like, "I was like, was that Bob Seger?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, he lives 5 minutes down the road. See that huge like,
What
because
the
you can
fuck?
see a huge house at like the top of a hill." He's like, "Yeah, dude, Bob owns like 25 acres at the end of the road,
Wow.
and we just live on his land." And I was like, "Damn." He's like, "Yeah, if you go down to the gas station at the corner, you'll see him every day getting a coffee."
They're
It's like
Queen's
crazy to
asking
me.
if you met him.
I did not meet Bob Seger, but that was the closest I've ever gotten. I looked at him and recognized him as he drove his silver Porsche slowly past us.
I wouldn't mind one
Like,
of those.
no, but just the fact that he was like so casual about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's been nice living next to you for the last 25
Just
years."
people,
Like,
man. He's just a dude.
yeah,
Just Bob
like
Seger, man.
my neighbor's Bob Seger. No big deal. He throws parties sometimes, but
Wonder what those parties are like.
I don't want to know.
So, one thing I wanted to talk about, and I do this with everyone that comes on here, is
Boy, let's go.
now that now that things are good. What do you do now? Do you like keep yourself aware of the things that trigger you? Is there a ritual you have every day? You know, some people it's exercising. For me, it's writing. I try to do as much as I can. I've been terrible lately.
I make my bed.
You make your bed?
I make my bed.
Now explain the significance of it. I already know.
I make
I think.
it's just weird. Like if I come home or if I wake up in the morning, like I used to like just throw my sheets and just let it sit there, and like my bed would look like shit all the time. It's like, what's the point? I'm just gonna use it again the next night and it's gonna get messed up. Like, and now like I make my bed every morning because it reminds me like that at the end of the day, like things don't need to be messed up, and like it's fucking weird, dude.
No, it's not weird. You're
It's-
making all the sense to me.
It's weird. Like in my head, I feel like if my bed is made, I have my shit together.
Well, it's a control thing. It's definitely, and that's where I was thinking. It's like you start your day in control.
And like
Your
Lex
intention
too.
is to be in control, especially if you have like an anxious mind like me. Like I need to find some control in certain things, and that's why I'm so active in my writing and this stuff. Is I control what's going on.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back into playing music. I played bass guitar for a long time, like basically all through high school, and I play drums every now and then whenever I can. There's a drum set. I'll probably try to play it.
Hmm.
And that's just always like how I've been a drummer. Like I consider myself a drummer because I can play, and I can like play decently, but not like insanely, because I've never had my own kit to play on.
Me
so,
either. My roommate's got one though, so
Yeah, but
dabble.
if I see a kit, I can sit down and play on it.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to get back into playing bass guitar because I want to at least have that routine. So like that'll be two things. I will make my bed every morning when I get up, and then I'll practice bass guitar for 30 minutes every day. And like after that, I don't know, who knows what I'll add, but
Well, you know what's
Um,
good about learning music and like getting into that is it's a skill, but it's also like kind of like working out. Like the more you do it, the better you get at it, and then the more confident you get, and then you start creating, and it's really super therapeutic for anyone here like thinking about dabbling in it, especially if you deal with anxiety. I remember last week when my mom was leaving, I was like pretty much a mess for a couple days, and Rochelle was there for me, and there was like one day I like couldn't shake it, and I just like sat up and I just like picked up my guitar and just started like not playing any songs.
You just,
I was just
strumming.
playing what I felt like I needed to play, and it was like playing my feelings, and it completely wiped what I was feeling away.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's so powerful.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier during the test, and I know that's really hard, man. And like that's one thing I'm grateful for is like I still have like my childhood home that I'm able
Hmm.
to go to. Like a lot of people don't have that, and like it's a comfort space for sure. So like I definitely understand why that's hard for you, and like it's we're here for you, man.
No,
Like
I appreciate it.
your mom's still your mom, you know.
I'm surprised.
She's
Actually,
just
surprised she's
she's
not
just a
here
few
right
more
now.
hours away.
Yeah, she's in Florida. Usually she comes by for the streams, but she like just moved in a couple days ago. So there's a whole bunch of things you got to do. Obviously, when you move,
Moving's like one of the most stressful things
it's
you'll
so
ever do in your
stressful,
life.
dude. It's so
Yeah.
stressful.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna give her too much shit for not being here. Yes, my mom watches my
you can
streams.
watch the VOD, mom.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's
So, yeah.
it's good. Everything's good. Other than
Yeah.
that, really.
So besides making my bed, and I was reading. I was reading that book one
I love
chapter
reading.
every day, but I read through that book so fast, and yeah, if it's not like playing bass guitar, which I can't do right now because it's broke. I need to get it to my buddy's house. He's gonna fix it for me so that I can at least. I want to start every stream with at least 30 minutes of bass practice, so like my channel
All
can
right.
hold me accountable.
Okay, I like
It's like
that.
accountability, and it like also it's like okay, I can fill 30 minutes of stream.
We're your accountability buddies. What is that
Yeah.
from? What movie is that from? Anybody? Accountability buddy.
I mean,
That's gonna drive me nuts.
is it role models?
I don't know. I'm
Uh,
relying
I
on
use-
you guys.
I use accountability buddy all the time.
Mhm.
I don't know what it's for though.
We're accountability
um,
buddies.
Yeah, I feel like that's huge. Gaming's been huge for me too, and I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say I use it as as a distraction.
I think it is
Sometimes.
South Park Queen. Sorry, man.
Um.
I think it is South Park.
So, but now like, I I feel like helps me socialize too, because like most of the time I'm playing like multiplayer.
Well, gaming is social
Like,
now, guys. It's
I
not.
know.
You're not just sitting by yourself.
Yeah, and like gaming and streaming, man. It's just like I love it so much. It's so fun to do, and like just interacting with chat, and like even like it wouldn't be I would not be here if I wasn't a streamer.
I know.
Like
I know.
and like it's just a lot of fun, and like I said, I've met a lot of cool people because of it, and it's those are my three things that I want to make like the main cause that I or main reasons I have to like be happy. That and my relationship, obviously, but you know, it's good to have things like that. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's important.
but I don't want to. You don't want to overload yourself either, because that's when
No.
you get like anxiety. You're like, okay, I need to write, I need to paint, I need
No.
to clean, I need to.
Yeah, don't
just-
do that. Just be grateful. Remind yourself, you have these things to do, but you have these things that are worth living for, whether it's your relationship or your cat or your friendships, or a lot of people it's their jobs, whatever it is, and that's a tricky
I
one. A lot of
envy those
people,
man.
a lot of people struggling with COVID right now because a lot of people lost their jobs, and
And like working from home seems like a good thing. Like at the like, oh, you get to work from home. Like you just wake up, go to like, right. You don't have to drive, no commute and everything. But that's a lot of people's daily routine, man.
right.
A lot of people woke up a couple hours before work. They got coffee on their way to work. They took the same route every single day to work. And like COVID just kind of shut that down.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like that's another reason I'm really glad that you got into streaming, and like I feel like you picked a very good year to do it, because like these mental health talks, everything, like this is a shitty year for everybody mentally.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like it's tough no matter what. It's not been easy. It's a weird fucking year, man.
It is so weird. I just want to give people a place to feel safe, man. It's
I mean, you
hard.
do
It's
that.
it's hard to feel safe. A lot of people have to work very hard to feel that way, and we don't have. It's hard to even get therapy. We can't go to concerts. People like you and me, we can't go to shows.
Yep.
So-
I can't even go see my family doctor, man.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's rough.
I called a week ago to schedule an appointment for something, that like I needed to be seen like urgently. Like, okay, we'll see you in 30 days. Like, my appointment's literally at the end of this month. It's like,
Yeah, unless you're dying or you have COVID,
exactly.
you're not
And
seeing anybody.
I'm not gonna go to a hospital right now either.
And not to mention the financial problems that
Yeah.
people are having from being sick, even if that's going on, or just not having a job.
Yeah, my insurance is whack. I went from the best insurance you could get, and then it's like when you turn 26, you get kicked off your
I don't
parents.
have any for that reason.
I was on my dad's like union insurance my whole life, and then as soon as I turned 26, so like boom, there you go.
Right.
And then now it's like ridiculous, man. If I step foot in an ER, it's $1,000.
Yeah, man, that's and that's scary. I hope that we'll get changes. We'll see. Without, I'm avoiding a political conversation right now, but I hope we'll see. I think it's important we elect people who give a shit about mental health and stuff like that. And I think I'm actually gonna have Desmundo on the next time I have him on. We're gonna talk about that. I think that'll be because he
is a cool guy.
He's really into politics, and I mean I am too. So I think it would make for a good talk.
I used to avoid talking about it because it made people uncomfortable, but I feel like talking about things that make people uncomfortable is the only way to get.
Well, this topic is one of them too. Like
exactly. If it's mental health, politics, religion, whatever, like just fucking talk about it.
Yeah, we gotta.
And if anything, it's just gonna eliminate those people that you don't need in your life that don't tolerate stuff like that. You're like, okay, well, if I can't talk about this openly, what do I can't have you in my life,
Right.
So you gotta it's uncomfortable, but you gotta make people uncomfortable.
Yeah. Or, like what we do here is I try to just reassure people that this conversation doesn't have to be, I mean, maybe it's painful at times, maybe it's a little awkward, but it doesn't have to be abnormal.
No, man, this has been a lot of fun.
We need to talk. We need to support each other. We need to keep these communities going and give these places for people to feel supported. I think we're going to be coming up on the end here, brother. I do about an hour and a half.
An hour and a half.
Yeah,
already?
isn't it wild?
God.
It cranks by. It cranks by. What I've been doing now is I give whoever I have on, now it's you, the opportunity to say your piece to everyone on here. Send a message if you want about mental health, if you're going through something, blah blah blah, or talk about what you're doing, whatever you want to do. I give the floor to you, my brother.
Like a plug?
You can plug yourself. If you want to show words of affirmation towards people that are struggling that may have been watching tonight, that you can do that too. It's whatever you want, man. You're my friend. I want to give you a chance to say what you want to say.
So I first want to say thank you for having me. It really has been a lot of fun.
You're welcome, man.
And thank you guys, everybody, for watching and letting me talk and asking questions. I'm glad that you guys are interested because that makes me feel special. And, like Trav always says, you can never not say it enough. It's okay to not be okay. If you're going through anything, reach out to me. Reach out to Travis. Like, we're on Discord. We're on Facebook, Instagram, anything. Like, if you need help, I will talk to you, and Trav will talk to you. We'll find somebody that's willing to help you. And I don't want anybody that I know to go through some of the struggles that I've had to go through and get to the low point that I've been through. And I just want my people to be the best they can be. And that's about it, man. Like,
that's what we do here. We're looking out for everybody.
Twitch, OneBlackPatch.
Yeah, follow the guy. OneBlackPatch. His name is in the title.
And you're not alone, man. People are here for you.
Yep. And even if it's not here, if you don't want to reach out to one of us, there's resources available. Low income, no income. You just gotta look.
Travis's Discord is a great place.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Struggling, I will say that. Like, my buddy who's in the chat right now has recently joined our Discord and immediately opened up, and I thought that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, and that's what I want, and I understand. Like,
it's
also
a safe spot, man.
It is safe, and the Discord's new, and not a lot of people have contributed yet. But like, don't be afraid. Like, if you have something that you want to say, like, chime in. We'll all join in on the conversation, and like, the person that did, I know who you're talking about. It was nice because everyone kind of chimed in, and it was, I hope that you felt better.
Yeah, and I did specifically. I love that person, and they're going through so much right now, and I just want you to know that it's okay, and I'm always gonna be here for you, buddy. And that's specifically for you.
Yeah, we love you.
So, but
All
yeah,
right.
man, it's been a lot of fun.
It's been great. We'll do it again. I mean, like, I want to have everybody on again.
Yeah, even if it's just like, dude, I'll bullshit and play Fall Guys with you. Or
Well,
something.
that's what I'm saying.
Phasmophobia.
Okay.
Let's get spooky together this month, dude.
Let's get spooky. I do want to do that because on my my other streams I do on Sunday and Friday, I kind of just stick around, and a lot of the time I'm just by myself. So if we could a lot of time you guys are streaming too, so maybe we could coordinate something.
Yeah,
we're all together.
I'm taking this week off. I've been working on a lot of stuff in the background. But I'll be back on Friday playing that God of War, man. I can't wait.
Dude, that game is unbelievable.
I'm in the thick of it right now. And
Where are you? Where are you in it?
Chat tells me I'm at like halfway. I'm at the point where Atreus found out he's a god, and I fucking hate him.
Oh yeah, he's an asshole.
I hate him.
Yeah.
And he stabbed the dude. Kratos was like, "Why are you doing that?"
I know.
He's like, "I'm a god. I can do whatever I want, Dad." You man.
All right. Well, we're gonna raid. We were gonna raid Normal Guy, but Desmundo is back doing his big pay-per-view, so we're gonna raid him.
I think you and I are fighting tonight.
Yeah, I think. No, that was the last one.
Oh, I missed it. I gotta watch the pod.
I didn't see who won. Yeah, I gotta go back and watch it. We're gonna raid him. He's a good friend of mine. He was on here last week. Definitely stick around, Mike. I'm gonna hang up the call.
Okay.
Right after, I'm gonna ready up the raid right now. I'm gonna hang up the call, and if you stay here, I'll send it to the end screen. But I appreciate all you guys. It's okay not to be okay. Love is out there. Support is out there. Love and light to all you. You guys are fucking awesome. We'll see you in Desmundo's stream. Love you all. Mike, thank you, bro.
You're welcome, man.
Take it easy, guys. Here we go.